Chat, what it do? We back. Short one today because I'm super fucking tired and I really don't feel like gaming. So we're just gonna do 3 quick little videos, react to them, and then I'm probably gonna end it. I'm not gonna lie. So fucking tired. And I just got a new puppy, draining the energy like crazy, bro. Hella exhausting. I love her, but Jesus, man, she's an energy ball. Yo, what I do? Who is Mac? Remember me? I do not. Were you in the Fortnite streams? I'm not sure. My apologies, bro. I do not remember you. Anyways, switching the screen. Just some quick little YouTube videos. We got 3 of them. Nothing too crazy. The CIA officer who exposed America's torture program. This one sounds stupid interesting. Serial killer still on the loose today. Also dummy interesting. Teacher realizes cop discovered her disgusting secret. If I could read, holy smokes. I don't know. All seem interesting. So we'll see. Get right into it. If it loads. Also, I hope we can do this on YouTube. I don't know if we can or not. I know people do it on Twitch, but guess we'll see. Fuck. Real quick chat. W sent me shit. Finally came in. Shout out them. That boy Dex, 10% off. Help the homie out. All right, anyways. Shout out W. What does that mean? No longer legal, bro? What? That's crazy. What the fuck? Chat, let me know if it's too quiet. Should be good though. Wait, can you not? What the fuck? Problem. Maybe I cannot do this on YouTube. Fuck. Hold up. Uh Yeah, YouTube's taking the sound out. Fuck, dude.
Foreign policy analysis. So I was very.
Okay, shit. Let's start it over.
I'll never forget his words. He said, "Something terrible is going to happen." We're hearing
CIA
camp
officer who exposed
commanders
America's torture
on
program.
the phone with their students, and they're crying and saying, "I'll see you in paradise." And he said, "I'm begging you, if you have any sources inside Al Qaeda, please help us." I was recruited by the CIA beginning in the late 1980s, but in a very odd way that is no longer legal. I was in graduate school
I
at
love
George
that,
Washington University in Washington, D.C.
What do you mean no longer
And I was
legal?
taking a class called The Psychology of Leadership that was taught by an eminent psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Gerald Post. Dr. Post gave us an assignment one day where we had to shadow our bosses and write a psychological evaluation of our bosses. And I was shadowing my boss, and he was a very difficult, mean, unpleasant, strong, brutish kind of person. And I went back to my apartment and I wrote my paper. And I said that he was a sociopath with psychopathic and possibly violent tendencies. I gave Dr. Post the paper, and a week later, he gives it back to me, and he gave me an A, and underneath the A, he wrote, "Please see me after class." So I went to see him, and I said, "Dr. Post, you wanted to see me?" He said, "Come to my office." So we went downstairs in the building into his little academic's office. He closed the door, and he said, "Look, I'm not really a professor here. I'm a CIA officer undercover as a professor here. And I'm looking for people who would fit into the CIA's culture. I think you would fit in. Do you want to be a CIA officer?" And I said, "Yes." And so he made some calls. It was up to me to pass all the tests, and there were a lot of tests. But that's how I got into the CIA.
And I guess when you first joined the CIA, what was the global political landscape like, and what was the US's stance with their foreign policy?
When I joined the CIA, the Soviet Union was literally in the process of collapsing. And so all eyes were on Eastern Europe. My expertise was in the Middle East. I had a bachelor's degree in Middle Eastern studies. I had studied Islamic theology with one of the leading Muslim scholars in the West. And my master's degree was focused in foreign policy analysis. So I was very specific about the Middle East. And so I was assigned to Iraq, and I immediately became Saddam Hussein's classified biographer in the intelligence community. So while the Soviet Union is falling apart and those analysts are becoming big stars, I focused on Iraq, and then much to my shock and the world's shock, 9 months later, Iraq invaded Kuwait and overthrew the Kuwaiti royal family and seized Kuwait's oil fields. This was a naked act of aggression and war. And so I walked in that morning. I got up early because we knew that the invasion was coming. We predicted 30 days before that Saddam would invade Kuwait. But I got into the office early, and my boss sort of intercepted me and said, "Don't take your jacket off. We're going to the White House." And I had never been to the White House before. So we got in a car, we drove to the White House, and we were escorted into the Oval Office. And keep in mind, I was 25 years old at the time. And you walk into the Oval Office, and here's the president,
Damn, bro,
the
I'm
vice
26.
president,
What the
the
fuck?
national security advisor, the CIA director.
I couldn't imagine
my
doing this
boss
shit.
and me. And the mood is very heavy. So everybody sits down, and the president says, "Well, now what do we do?" And then everybody turns and looks at me. And it took me a second to get my bearings. And I said, "Well, the Kuwaiti government's been overthrown. The Iraqi government announced this morning that they had installed Ahmed al-Khatib as the occupation governor of Kuwait." I said, unfortunately, we happen to know a lot about Ahmed Khatib. He got a medical degree at the American University of Beirut, and his college roommate was George Habash, and together they created the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. And the vice president says, "Jesus Christ." And I thought, wow, this is bad. We finished the briefing, got up and walked out, and two things happened. My boss said to me, "There's something you need to understand." He said, "I'm not sure that you're appreciating the importance of what's happening. It's not unusual for a country that we cover to go to war. It's highly unusual for a country that we cover to go to war with us." And then later that afternoon, Margaret Thatcher, who at the time was the British Prime Minister, called the president. It was George H.W. Bush, and famously told him, these were her words, "Now's not the time to go wobbly, George." And that call was like a wake-up call for George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, okay.
And so we sent the largest army deployed since the end of the Vietnam War. We invaded Kuwait.
Actually, I do kind of believe that Bush kind of.
And then the rest is history.
You were then stationed in the Middle East. What was your role out there?
I served first in Saudi Arabia, then in Kuwait, and then I went back to headquarters for a while and decided that I so loved serving overseas that I wanted to do it on a longer-term basis. So I applied for what's called a rotation at the State Department. And I mean, this was an honest-to-God State Department job where I left the CIA and I went to the State Department.
Hey, we got a view in here. I appreciate you. I don't know who you are,
service officer,
I appreciate
and
you.
I became the economic officer.
This is just some random shit. I don't feel like gaming.
And then back to headquarters to work on Iraq again. But I did get bored after 7.5 years.
And I'm very tired.
Iraq, every single day Iraq. And so I made a very unusual transition from intelligence to operations, and specifically to counter-terrorist operations.
And what does that mean?
So as an analyst, your job is to sit in a cubicle, read all source intelligence that's coming in from all over the world, think the big thoughts, write papers that probably nobody will ever read. Once or twice a week, you write something for the president, if it's important enough to merit his attention. And then you go home at the end of the day. Counterterrorism operations was what you see in the movies. I went straight into weapons. And then after weapons, I went into explosives.
Even
after
better.
Explosives, I went into counterterrorist driving, and then advanced counterterrorist driving, which was out in the desert out west. And then you learn how to spot, assess, develop, and recruit spies to steal secrets.
And what year was this?
That was 1997.
And was there any other time in these years that you
2
were
years
questioning
before
the
I was
ethics
born.
of
That
the
shit's
agency and
crazy.
the work you were doing?
No, I didn't question the ethics of the agency at the time for a very specific reason. When Bill Clinton was elected president, he issued an order that the CIA had to, what they called, cull their recruited assets. Anybody who had what the White House described as a human rights problem was to be fired, right? So we didn't want to do business anymore in the 1990s with death squad leaders or assassins. And Clinton was serious about that. And I remember saying to a colleague at the time, I can't believe they're actually serious about human rights. This is really a very pleasant surprise for me. But Bill Clinton wasn't president forever. He was only president for 8 years. And then 9/11 happened, and literally everything changed in the blink of an eye.
So in 2001, where were you working? What was your role at that time?
In 2001, I had just returned from my first overseas operational tour in Athens. And I was working in headquarters, and my job was to train Middle Eastern intelligence services in how to carry out counterterrorism operations. And so I had to go to the White House on the morning of September 11th, 2001, with the director of the CIA's Counterterrorism Center, Ambassador Kofor Black. And I walked over to his office to tell him that our car was ready to take us to the White House. And when I got there, his secretary had a small TV on her desk because you couldn't watch TV on your computers back then. And the news was on, and one of the towers of the World Trade Center was burning. And I said, "What happened to the World Trade Center?" She said, "A plane had flown into it." And I said, "Ah, well, you know, that happened once before. In 1932, a plane flew into the Empire State Building, but it was really raining and very foggy that day. It's so clear today. How can you not see that you're flying into the World Trade Center?" And as soon as I said it, the second plane hit.
Oof.
And she turned to me and she said, "Did you see that, or did I imagine it?" And I ran back to my office and I said, "Guys, 2 planes just hit both towers of the World Trade Center. I think we're under attack." And then everybody ran up to the director's office, TVs all over the place. And we're all just standing there. And then the 3rd plane hits the Pentagon. There was an officer from the CIA police force. We have our own internal police force. And he came in and he said, "Everybody evacuate right now, everybody evacuate." Nobody budged. We just stood there. And then finally somebody shouted, behind me, somebody shouted, "Will someone please lead?" And Kofor said, "Yeah, you go to the director's office and tell him this. You go to security and tell him that. You go up to operations." You know, and so everybody started to scramble.
Bro, I'd be fucking geeking, let alone like trying to do my job. I'd be freaking the fuck out.
"There's still a plane in the air, and I think we should probably assume that it's coming here."
Oh yeah, chat. This 3rd plane landed close to where I live, actually, dead ass. It's actually kind of fucking nuts.
So
they shot it down.
My girlfriend, who later became my wife, she was also a senior CIA officer. She met me at my apartment, and we went to the roof and we watched the Pentagon burn for an hour. And then she said, "We should try to donate blood." So we went. There were blood mobiles all over the place, but the lines were so long, they told us it'll be 24 hours before they could clear the line. And I said to her, "This is ridiculous. We have to go back to work." So I walked back to my car, drove across the grassy median, drove back to the CIA, and then I didn't leave for 4 days. I just balled up my jacket and I slept under my desk.
And I guess from that point, it changed everything.
It changed literally everything. I remember saying to a colleague, "Do they realize what they've done?" I mean, I get that this group wants to strike a blow to US hegemony and the empire. I get it. But do they know nothing from history? Do they not know that our response is going to be 1,000 times what they did to us? And certainly, you know, we spent altogether in the so-called war on terror, we spent $23 trillion.
Jesus.
And we killed as many as 2 million.
Jesus. Jesus.
Did they not see that coming?
Fucking hell.
Osama bin Laden said later that he wanted to damage the US economy. He failed. And he was responsible then for, you know, the deaths of an untold number of people. What did he think he was really going to accomplish? So it was a failure all around and changed the world permanently.
Chat, isn't there a conspiracy theory that Osama worked for the CIA? Is that true? Like, is that a thing, a conspiracy? I think I heard about that.
And who was Osama bin Laden and what was his intention?
The bin Laden family is a very honorable, very highly respected family.
Where's homie going with this?
Dozens of them live permanently in the United States.
Huh?
They have billions and billions of dollars, and they have made that money through bin Laden Industries. So Osama bin Laden, who had vacationed as a teenager in the United States and all over Western Europe and was very Americanized, self-radicalized after the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1979. He went to Afghanistan in the late 1980s to fight the Soviets. He was the only member of his family that self-radicalized. Everybody else, lived the good life in France, in the UK, and in the United States. And so he came up on our radar as somebody who was potentially dangerous. I sat next to a guy when I first got hired. And in the summer of 1990, he wrote a paper saying that he believed Osama bin Laden was the most dangerous man in the world. And I remember saying, who? I never heard of this guy. And he said, buddy, this is one bad guy. Watch and see. Watch and see. Well, 5 years later, I'm living in Bahrain. I'm at lunch in the embassy cafeteria, and the TV is on. And here there's a terrorist attack in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, at a facility called OPM Sang. This was a joint facility of the US military and the Saudi Arabian National Guard. And terrorists had gotten onto the base and had killed something like 5 people. And I think they were all third country nationals. I think they were Indians. So this group called Al-Qaeda took responsibility for this attack. Nobody had ever heard of Al-Qaeda. So the Saudis did what the Saudis do, and they rounded up 12.5 people. They all...
Chat, who came first? Al-Qaeda or was it ISIS? Y'all remember ISIS? Wasn't that like a big thing like 10 years ago? Maybe a little less. Y'all heard of ISIS? They were pretty fucking nuts too.
all confessed using the identical language on national TV, and they were all immediately beheaded.
That's what ISIS did.
Have had something to
That's
do
literally
with
what
the
they
attack.
did.
Some of them probably didn't
They
have
were
anything
fucking
to do with
nuts.
the attack, but certainly the masterminds of this attack got away, bin Laden being the one, and he went to Afghanistan. Well, in Afghanistan, with the fall of the pro-Soviet communist government and the advent of a Taliban government, he was free to do anything he wanted. And so he ordered that his underlings create 2 training camps in southern Afghanistan, one in Kandahar province and one in Helmand province. By 2001, Al-Qaeda had carried out several large-scale attacks. And we said, well, we've got to get on the stick, and we have to find this guy, and we have to stop him. So the FBI began investigating so that he could be
this
charged
video is
with a
fucking
crime.
interesting.
The CIA began
I knew it was
going to
be a banger.
We knew that he was somewhere in Afghanistan,
I like shit like this.
probably
I don't know
in
why.
Kandahar, but
Very interesting.
but it was impossible to really find him. And then on July the 6th, 2001, I was at CIA headquarters, and I was entertaining a delegation from a Middle Eastern intelligence service. We did this literally every single day. I had arranged a briefing on Al-Qaeda with a young, like 23-year-old analyst. So I said, well, we're going to start off today with a briefing on Al-Qaeda. The door opens, and Ambassador Black walks in with the chief of operations for the Osama bin Laden group. And I was so shocked, I stood up and I said, gentlemen, this is Ambassador Kofor Black. He is the CIA's director of counterterrorism, and this is the director of operations for our Osama bin Laden group. And he sat down, and I'll never forget his words. He said, something terrible is going to happen. We don't know when, and we don't know where, but we know it's going to be an attack on a massive scale. We're hearing code words for a huge attack. The honey salesman is coming with vast quantities of honey.
What the fuck?
There's going to be a great wedding. There's going to be a great football match. These are all code words for an attack. He said, we're hearing camp commanders on the phone with their students, and they're crying and saying, I'll see you in paradise.
Okay, that one I heard before.
I'm begging you, if you have any sources inside Al-Qaeda, please help us. They were just as shocked by this briefing as I was. They didn't say anything. He got up, he shook their hands, they walked out. At the end of the day, I sent these guys back to their hotel. It was going to be a few hours before dinner. So I went to Kofar's office to thank him for spending the time. I said, Kofar, I have to ask you, I'm not working on Al-Qaeda. Did you say that just for their benefit?
Yo, what
or
it
were
do,
you
Paro?
serious?
Appreciate
he
you
said,
popping in, bro.
"Oh,
You're
I
bad
was
for being late. No,
deadly
you good, bro.
serious.
No
Something
worries.
terrible is going to happen." And then sure enough, 2 months later, there it was.
We're just chilling, watching
From that
videos. I don't feel
moment
like gaming.
after
I'm hella
September
tired.
11th, you were very involved in
So we're just
tracking
watching
down
shit.
senior members of Al-Qaeda. How did that work?
Well, like everybody in the building, I volunteered to go to Afghanistan on September 12th. And I volunteered again.
Damn, bro. Props to him.
And again.
Nah.
And again, 4 times.
I'd be fucking geeking.
And they kept putting me off. Well, I was one of only 16
Congrats on your partnership, bro.
fluent
Thank you. I
Arabic
appreciate
speakers
that.
at the
I actually
CIA
just
at the
got
time.
what they sent me today.
I
sent me
had
a,
worked years earlier for the deputy
cool
director
cup, and they sent
of
me,
the Counterterrorism Center. So I considered
stuff,
him to be
if
a
you can
friend.
see it.
I went into his office and I made a
Hella clutch.
bold and completely empty threat. And I said, if you don't send me to Afghanistan right now, I am going straight to Exxon with my Arabic and I'm not looking back. And he says, take it easy, take it easy. Can you go to Pakistan? And I said, yes. When? He said, tomorrow. I said, yes. What do you want me to do there? He said, I want you to be the chief of counterterrorism operations. I said, fine. And so I left the next day. I arrived in Islamabad at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then the driver said, oh, I'll pick you up at 7 to take you in the office. And I said, oh my God, please. I can't sleep on planes. I haven't slept since I left Washington. It's been 24 hours. Let me have another hour, pick me up at 8. So he picked me up at 8. I was like a zombie. And I went in and introduced myself to the chief. And I said, I'm your new chief of counterterrorism. And he said, okay, have a seat. So he said, here's what I want you to do today. I want you to come up with a standard operating procedure to take down a terrorist safe house. And I said, okay. So I went back to my office.
Bro's just down with whatever.
And I sat with a legal
crazy.
pad
G
and a
shit.
pen. And I thought, okay, if I were going to take
You want
down
me to take
a
the
terrorist
fuckers
safe
out?
house,
All right.
how would I do that? And then I thought, I would want it to be dark. I wouldn't want anybody to see me. So I wrote O200 at the top of the paper. And then I thought, I need weapons, like lots of weapons. I bought guns, ammunition, night vision goggles, battering rams, bulletproof vests, knives, walkie-talkies. From scratch, we started this thing. And I thought, well, 9/11 is an open criminal investigation, so I have to invite the FBI. And this is Pakistan. It is their country, after all, so I have to invite the Pakistanis. So I wrote, joint team, CIA, FBI, ISI, with the list of weapons. I ordered the weapons. They were there, in days. So a week later, we did our first test raid. We caught 2 Al-Qaeda fighters. Another few days later, we caught an actual mid-level guy from Egyptian Islamic Jihad. It worked. And then finally, 6 weeks later, we get word from a sister agency in the Washington suburbs that Abu Zubaydah, who we believed at the time was the number 3 in Al-Qaeda, was somewhere in Pakistan. And we
The
had
fucking
to catch
looker,
him.
huh, chat?
That was all we knew. He was somewhere in Pakistan.
Only a face
And
a
I
mother
said
could love type
in our
shit?
morning meeting, I said, this country is the size of Texas. It has 220 million people in. What do you mean he's in Pakistan? Go catch him. But we came up with a plan, and we caught him. He was shot 3 times and severely wounded.
Tough.
So I sat with Abu Zubaydah for 56 hours after we shot him. The Pakistani doctors there saved his life, pumping blood into him as quickly as they could. It was just oozing out of him, pooling underneath the bed. He was soaked in blood. We were soaked in.
Bro said he sat with him for 56 hours while he was shot? What the fuck? What kind of torture shit is this? What the fuck?
Blood. It was like a scene out of a horror movie.
I mean, he is a terrorist, but shit.
But he lived. And then finally he asked me, what's going to happen to me? And I said, honestly, I don't know. But I'm going to give you some advice. I said, I am the nicest guy that you're going to meet in this experience. My colleagues, they're not nice like I am. So if you do one thing,
How are you the
it's that
nicest
you
when
have
you're
to
shooting?
cooperate." And he
I mean,
said,
again,
"You
he's a
seem like
terrorist, but
nice man,
Jesus.
but you're the enemy, and I'll never cooperate." Finally, a CIA jet flew in, and
Imagine bleeding
3
out in
FBI
agony for
agents and I
56 hours, bro. That's what I'm
picked
saying,
up his
man.
gurney
That would
and
suck.
carried him out to the plane. He was crying. He asked if I would hold his hand, which I did. We had to maneuver
And the guy
him. We
somehow
had to stand him
survived.
up
That's
on the gurney. He
insane.
was strapped down. We had to maneuver him onto the plane. We laid him on the luggage rack at the back of the plane and tied him down. And he squeezed my hand, and I said, "Remember, you have to cooperate." And then he flew off. Well, a few weeks later, I flew back to headquarters. And I was in the cafeteria one day, just standing in the sandwich line. And a senior officer walked up to me and said, very casually, "Hey, I'm so glad I ran into you. Do you want to be certified in the use of enhanced interrogation techniques?" And I had never heard that term before. This was May of 2002. I said, "What's that mean?" And he says, "We're going to start getting rough with these guys." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he described these 10 techniques. And I said, "That sounds like a torture program." And he said, "It's not torture. The Justice Department approved it and the president signed it. We're going to start soon. You want to be in?" And I said, "Let me think about it." I consulted a very senior officer, went back downstairs, and I said, "This is a torture program.
Yeah,
I have an ethical and moral problem with it. I think it's illegal.
100%.
And I'm not interested." Well,
I was going to say, it sounds like a fucking torture program to me, even though they said it's not. It definitely sounds like it.
And on August the 2nd, 2002, CIA began to torture Abu Zubaydah, and they tortured him mercilessly.
And what method of torture were they?
Well, they were supposed to
That question
start
was
off
intimidating
with
facts.
the least dangerous and least offensive technique, which was called the attention
but it sounds cool,
grab,
so let me write it down.
where you grab him by the shirt and
What's
give
it
him
on?
a shake and say, "Answer my questions." And it gets gradually worse from there. But they didn't do that. They started with the worst technique, waterboarding. They strapped him down to a board. His feet were elevated compared to his head. They put some material cloth around his face and in his mouth, and then started pouring water on his face.
Jesus.
They did this 87 times.
Jesus.
And he actually drowned at one point. His heart stopped.
Well, yeah.
And then they revived him just so that they could torture him more.
Was Abu Zubaydah the first?
Abu Zubaydah was the first. He was the test case.
This is the CIA
And
doing all this
in
crazy
a very
shit.
Rapid
This is what this video is
succession,
about, the CIA.
We caught some of the most important leaders of Al-Qaeda. We caught Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks. He was waterboarded 100. Abu Zubaydah was 83 times up, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded 187 times. We used other techniques
dude,
that I even believe were worse than waterboarding.
Okay, listen. Obviously, fucking terrorists are like a no-go, but waterboarding? God. I don't know.
Called the cold cell, where we strip the prisoner naked and then...
Kind of gruesome and has weird parts at times. All right, yeah, I'm going to look into it. But there are a couple torture scenes, and I got reminded of it. Torture scenes in Tokyo Ghoul? Interesting.
Chain him to an eye bolt in the ceiling so he can't sit or lay or get comfortable in any way. And we chill the cell to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then every hour, a CIA officer throws a bucket of ice water on him. We murdered two prisoners with that technique. They died of hypothermia and then were just buried there on the grounds, unmarked. There was another technique called sleep deprivation, right? We all know what sleep deprivation is. But what they did in this case was they strip you naked, chain you to that eye bolt in the ceiling again, and then have these industrial strength lights on you and loud acid rock, death metal music 24 hours a day. We know from the American Psychological Association that people begin to lose their minds at day 7, and they begin to die at day 9. Your organs shut down. The The CIA
What?
kept people awake as long as 12
Your organs
days,
shut down from not
people
sleeping?
did
That's
lose
kind
their
of
minds.
wild. I didn't know that.
So it just got worse
I
and
knew-
worse and worse.
I obviously knew you could die from not sleeping, but like your organs shutting down? That's Jesus, bro. That's a little crazy.
And I kept waiting for somebody to say something.
These techniques
Oh yeah,
were
yeah. I'm good with gore. Yeah,
successful
that
in
sounds a
gathering
little
intelligence.
Well, see,
weird.
that's the
But
thing is
I watch a lot
all
of horror
these
movies and
techniques
shit.
were unsuccessful in gathering intelligence. The intelligence that we gathered successfully
Mains, there's
was
some interesting
intelligence
parts.
gathered
Bet.
by the FBI
Yeah, I'll
in
peep
the
it. I'll
person
check it
of
out.
Ali Soufan, who was an FBI agent who used
What's it
the
on,
tried
bro?
and true FBI technique of establishing a
Crunchyroll?
rapport with the prisoner, a relationship. You offer him a cup of tea, a cigarette, an orange, a piece of paper to write a letter to his mother. You don't beat him and torture him and kill him. And so under Ali's guidance, Abu Zubaydah gave us actionable intelligence that saved American lives. And the CIA would start torturing him and he would go
Dude, yeah, the
completely
CIA
silent.
is nuts.
So it was not
And they get
just
away with all
wrong,
this. I'm pretty sure
ethically
this dude's like a
and
whistleblower.
legally,
Like telling about
but
it.
it didn't work. If anything,
not telling,
it just
but
made
like,
the situation worse.
You know, spreading the info.
What was the turning point that made you decide to go public about this torture program?
This
Okay,
program
yeah, here we
was so
go.
clearly wrong to me that I anticipated someone going public, and no one went public. Well, I resigned from the CIA effective spring of 2005 and went into the private sector. In December of 2007, I got a call from a reporter from ABC News, which is one of the major news major networks in the United States, the American Broadcasting Corporation. And this journalist said that he had a source who said that I had tortured Abu Zubaydah. I said that was absolutely not true. I was the only person who was kind to Abu Zubaydah. And he said, well, you're welcome to come on the show and defend yourself. I didn't know that was a reporter's trick. I'd never spoken to a reporter before. I said, yeah, I'll think about it. Well, 2 days later, President Bush gives a press conference in which he looks in the camera and he says, we do not torture, like that. And I said
Cap.
to my wife, he is a bald-faced liar. He's looking the American people in the eye and he's lying. And then 2 days later, he was walking to the helicopter to fly to Camp David. And reporters always shout questions at the president when he's walking in a helicopter. And usually he just goes like this, like he can't hear, and waves. They can always hear. So a reporter shouts a question about torture.
They could always hear.
And he turns and he says, well, if there is torture, it's because of a rogue CIA officer. And I said to my wife, Brian Ross's sources at the White House, and they're going to try to pin this on me, because they were angry that I was the only one that declined. So I called the reporter, Brian Ross, and I said, I'll give you your interview. And I decided in the days leading up to it that I was simply going to tell the truth. No matter what he asked me, I was just going to tell the truth. And that's what I did.
And what truth was that?
The truth
Gee,
was
shit.
the CIA was torturing its prisoners. Torture was official U.S. government policy. It was not the result of a rogue. And the policy had been personally approved by the president. So the FBI began investigating me at the CIA's behest. They investigated me for an entire year, from December of 2007
This is a long-ass
to
video.
December
Holy
of 2008.
fuck.
And they determined that I
realize.
had not committed a crime, that torture was illegal, and it is illegal to classify an illegality. And so they said, oh, you're free to go. So my wife and I actually went out that night to celebrate. 3 weeks later, Barack Obama became president, and he named John Brennan as the Deputy National Security Advisor for Counterterrorism. John and I always hated each other. And I didn't know that John asked the Justice Department to secretly reopen the case against me. So for the next 3 years, my phones were tapped, my emails were intercepted, and teams of FBI agents followed me everywhere I went. Finally, in January of 2012, I was arrested and charged with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage. Espionage can be a death penalty offense. And so I had to fight. I was confident in my heart that I had done nothing wrong. The espionage charges were thrown out. I hadn't committed espionage. But I had 5 children at home. And I had gone bankrupt because of the legal fees. I actually still owe my attorneys
Jesus.
$1,150,000 that they'll
Holy
never see.
fuck.
I'll never have that money to pay them. And so the Justice Department.
Bro, that's how much attorneys be costing, actually? Well, I mean, maybe his attorney, maybe not all of them, but God, what? Let's hope I never get sued. Jesus, I'm fucked.
Department does
I'm just
what it
throwing that
does.
out there, man. I'm fucked.
And they offered me a deal. I was
I can't
facing
afford that.
45 years. They offered me
I wish.
23 months. And I actually turned it down. And my lead attorney got right in my face. And he said, you know what your problem is? Your problem is you think this is about justice. And it's not about justice. It's about mitigating damage. Take the deal. Well, I had done some research, and I found.
And the government doesn't even reimburse him? Yeah, of course not. I mean, it's the government we're talking about here. They take money from everyone, you know? Genuinely, even though they lost the case, they still won. I mean, yeah, pretty much, because they still got the money. Well, his attorney got money,
a study by
I guess they probably did too, or whatever.
ProPublica that found that the government wins 98.2% of its cases.
Holy
And he said,
smokes.
do you really want to roll the dice? So I took the deal.
And you served those 23 months?
I served every single day of those 23 months.
Bro served
Every
2
day.
years, almost 2 years for no reason.
Well, first of all, I should say, I have zero regrets. Somebody had to say something. Zero regrets because I wanted to be able to sleep at night. I wanted my children to be proud of me. And I didn't want future generations to say, you know, that Kiriakou guy, he could have stopped this. And he didn't. You know, what kind of person is that? I wanted to be on the right side of this. I knew what was right and wrong. It was clear. It was obvious. There were a lot of bad guys in very senior, important roles at the
Chat random thing. Isn't this cool that we can do this? I didn't think we could do this on YouTube, I'll be honest. I thought we would have maybe gotten taken down, but we're still here. It's kind of crazy. I know on Twitch you can do reaction stuff, which I really like, but I didn't know about YouTube. Hey, at least we know now.
CIA. I
It's
had
kind
to
of fun.
counter that.
I didn't feel like gaming.
And, you know, I
so
said also that
I don't know.
these CIA people,
Felt like live streaming
if
though
they
for a little
thought
bit.
that prison was going to cow me, was going to silence me,
Even though it's just this.
they didn't know me at all. So in my view, I won.
And you think it's had an impact on the way the CIA operates now?
It has absolutely, definitely had an impact. In fact, when Gina Haspel became the CIA director during the first Trump administration, we used to call her Bloody Gina because she was the godmother
What game
of
you
the
playing,
torture
Paro?
program.
Roblox?
In her confirmation hearings before the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, she said that the torture program was wrong and that she wished she had nothing to do with it. And I said, I call that a victory.
And any intelligence officer or anyone that kind of witnesses wrongdoing and they want to speak out, what advice would you give to someone?
You have to go with your conscience. The CIA likes for its officers to believe that everything in life is a shade of gray. And that's just simply not true. Some things in life are black and white, right and wrong. And deep down, we know what's right and what's wrong. So trust yourself. Trust your judgment.
What's up with the
even
music,
if you
bro?
know there's going to be fallout.
Got real up in here.
We knew that we were being hunted by the secret.
Bro, that was a good video. I can't lie. That was fire. Hold up. Yeah. Definitely subbing. All right. Next video. Serial killers that are still on the loose today. This one should be interesting.
Serial killers that are still on the loose. According to the FBI, there could be...
What up? Yeah, it's basically a separate game mode, hard mode version, and it's effectively new Dark Souls. Now Dark Souls, bro, Dark Souls. I wish I beat that game, but it's so damn hard. Same with the second one. Fucking never got through them. I wish I did.
up to
But
50 active serial killers in the United States.
also, when those games came out, I was kind of young, so like I don't know, I wasn't very good. But dude, even as an adult, I don't think I could play them and beat. I'll be honest, because I couldn't beat Elden Ring. Shit.
right now. That's
No.
literally one serial killer for every state in the United States. For this year's Halloween special, I knew I wanted to talk about serial killers, but I also knew I wanted to make it extra creepy, which is why I wanted to discuss not serial killers who we all know and have been put to jail or put to death. I wanted to discuss serial killers that are currently active or still on the loose to this day. Being on the loose and being active are two different things, which is why this video is a bit of a double feature. I'm going to start by going through every serial killer who is still walking among us, and then I'm going to build up to not only serial killers
this is
who are on the
scary,
loose,
bro.
but are also on the loose and active to this very day. So without
Serial
further
killers
ado,
geek me
let's
out,
talk
bro.
about killers that
Like, how do people just kill people and get away with it and not know, like, who it is? And, like, they could be at the grocery store and shit that you're at while you're there, and you don't know. I fucking... It's so weird, bro. It's so weird.
could technically kill you. The I-70 killer.
It's, like,
The year is
interesting.
1992. You are the
Obviously,
manager
killing isn't
working
cool,
at a
obviously,
local
but,
shoe
like, I don't know.
store. You have
It's
just
fucking
began your
interesting.
shift.
Like, how does nobody
Today
know?
was like any other day. You were alone in the
Sometimes.
store, and the store was quiet. That was until one peculiar-looking man walked in. He enters the store looking directly at you and doesn't say much, although he asks you if you could find something for him in the back. You oblige and walk in the back, only to realize you've been followed. And before you can understand what's going on, you hear the click of a gun and your life flashes. Unfortunately, that
editing.
is a real story of one of the victims of the I-70 killer. And this victim was one of many. The I-70 killer is named after the I-70 highway because every single one of the murders attributed to him has taken place only a few miles off of the highway. For those unfamiliar, the I-70 highway is one of the longest interstates or highways in the entire United States and runs from Utah to Maryland. That alone is an interesting
They
fact.
could
we'll
be
get
in my
into
chat
later,
right
but
now.
more on the killer
Bro, are you a
himself.
serial
It's believed
killer?
that the I-70 killer was most
Just
active
secretly?
from 92 until 94. Although murders as recently as 2001 have also been attributed to him. Very little
Hold on, let me read this quick. The base game was already inspired by Souls games and RPGs. And this one, God, whole ass Dark Souls boss fight. Huh? Confused by that. Not gonna lie. You plead the fifth.
Little is known about the I-70 killer, and every murder that is associated with him is because of the extremely consistent methodology.
Oh,
this
they have.
man
Are you saying they
used.
have
Almost
whole ass
every victim
boss
of the
fights?
I-70 killer follows the same criteria. The victim was a woman working alone in a retail location only a few miles off the I-70 highway and was nearly clinically executed with a 22mm bullet to the back of the head. Now, interestingly, all of the
Jesus.
murders attributed to the I-70 killer showed
Yeah,
little
go ahead,
to no
Paro, yeah.
signs of
Send 'em
assault
on,
or
Discord.
robbery after the murder took place, meaning that this killer likely killed simply for the satisfaction of killing, which is just more evidence in case you weren't convinced that this person was twisted already. Now, it's important to note that there are a few murders from the I-70 killer that are a bit unorthodox. Specifically, a few murders that involved male victims, as well as a situation where two people were murdered at the same time, which was the first and only time that happened. And it's theorized by authorities
same
that the
time?
I-70 killer believed one of the employees was alone, when in reality the employee and store owner were both present at the location, and the I-70 killer decided to kill both of these people. As of today, there's believed to be anywhere from 6 to over 9 killings attributed to the I-70 killer. And interestingly, with these murders taking place relatively recently, and the sheer volume of murders that took place, there is quite a bit of evidence and information taking place. But interestingly, even with technology that existed at the time, which was only the early 90s, and the technology that exists today, which is way more advanced, there is still absolutely no clue as to who the I-70 killer could be. And all we
How,
have are a few
though?
artist depictions based
How? That makes no sense. How? How is that fucking possible? I don't understand that. I don't get that. If we have better technology than back then, how? What? How can we figure this shit out? I mean, I don't understand that. I really don't
off
get
of
that.
a few eyewitness accounts. My mind is still a bit blown that with over 6 active crime scenes that
Yo,
have
what's
all
up,
been
moron?
extremely consistent
Appreciate you popping
in
in, bro.
a relatively modern time period, we still have no real information, and it doesn't look like we're ever going to get anytime soon. And for people who claim to have seen the I-70 killer, they said that they saw a skinny white man, roughly 5'7" to 5'9", in their 20s to 30s at the time. Authorities across the United States are still actively searching for the true identity of the I-70 killer to finally bring him to justice. And today, investigators believe that the I-70 killer is likely between between the ages of 52 and 70, meaning that it's extremely likely
he's
that
probably
still
dead.
alive and roaming the
Yeah.
streets today. Although
he's
it's
probably
believed
dead.
that he's either retired from killing or simply changed his methods so his new murders cannot be attributed to his now infamous persona. The
Or
I-70
dead.
killer wasn't the only killer of this kind. There's also an I-70 strangler and an I-65 killer, but even those aren't all of them. And in a press release, the FBI has even stated explicitly that a disproportionate amount of murderers and serial killers have been truck drivers, simply because their lifestyle is so conducive for serial killing. They're consistently traveling
Wait, moron. I'm confused. What did you say whatever to?
city to
Lost.
city. They're hanging out in locations that are relatively temporary, you know, rest stops, gas stations, and they always have a reason to be going somewhere. And truck drivers and trucks, for the most part, kind of fly under the radar. In regards to the I-70 killer specifically, the authorities don't know what his occupation was, but they do believe that he was either a truck driver, a drifter, or somebody who traveled on I-70 frequently for work. So I guess all I can say is, if you're traveling on I-70,
It's a hell of
see
a
a man who looks
fucking
something like this, keep your
picture.
distance. The Eastbound Strangler. The year is 2006. You and your dog are staying in a cheap motel outside of Atlantic City because you've fallen on pretty hard times, and you decide to go out for your daily walk. You walk your dog on the usual route around the motel when you notice that your dog is particularly inquisitive about something behind the motel. He keeps trying to draw you down to this drainage ditch.
Oh, you're
While
spelling. You're
unwilling
good,
to go
bro.
down there, you figure something suspicious is going on. You get back to your room and inform police, and after they arrive, they knock on your door and tell you that what you called them about was extremely concerning, and what was found in that drainage ditch was extremely disturbing. Inside that drainage ditch laid 4 dead women. All of the women that were
Jesus.
found in this ditch were identified as sex workers in the area. And
Oh.
all of these women were laid extremely methodically. These women were all face down in the drainage ditch, roughly 6 feet apart from each other. All of their heads were pointed eastbound, and all of them were fully clothed except for having their socks and shoes removed. And all of them were
Fuck.
strangled to death. The way that these women were killed and the way that their bodies were found is, of course, where the relatively twisted name of Eastbound Strangler came from. Now, basically everything I've just told you is almost everything that's currently known about the Eastbound Strangler. And unfortunately, that kind of just comes with the territory when you're talking about serial killers that are still on the loose. They're on the loose for a reason, and that's because not much is known, or at least not enough to find them, let alone convict them. And unfortunately, this leaves a lot of room to speculation. And I would argue that if this serial killer was at least strong enough to strangle and move the bodies of 4 women into a ditch, then it's likely that they weren't extremely old when these killings took place. And because these killings took place only 19 years ago, I would say it's very likely that whoever killed these 6 women is still alive today and possibly still active, because all of these 4 murders were
Yeah,
only
that's-
linked together because
it's a
all of the
little
bodies were
scary.
found in the same place. But if this killer decided to just go in any other place in the country and kill somebody in any other way, well, nobody's going to really suspect the Eastbound Strangler, the Jeff Davis.
Bro, that's a hell of a
Fortunately,
fucking
the Jeff-
drawing. What
Nobody's going
the?
to really
Look at that. Jesus. Imagine someone looked like that, bro.
suspect the
Can't lie,
Eastbound
that's
Strangler,
scary.
the Jeff Davis 8. Fortunately, the Jeff Davis 8 situation does have quite a bit of information surrounding it. However, this information, while not only upsetting, only leads to more questions than answers. The Jeff Davis 8, or the Jennings 8, refers to a series of murders that took place between 2005 and 2009 in the small town of Jennings, Louisiana. All 8 of the Jeff Davis 8 victims were women. But more interestingly than that, they were also connected to each other. Not only did they all live in similar circumstances of being young women struggling with poverty, drug use, and prostitution, but they also literally knew each other. Several of the victims in this case were also police informants, and some of these informants even ratted on each other to the same police station. And police station is something we'll discuss just in a sec. All 8 of these women were killed in similar ways and dumped in similar locations, with the murder methods used being strangulation, suffocation, or drowning. And the areas these bodies were dumped were either in swamps or canals in remote areas outside of Jennings. Now, it's reported that when these bodies were found, it's shown that there was an active attempt to have these bodies unidentifiable once found. And it's also suggested that whoever placed these bodies in these extremely remote locations was very familiar with the local terrain due to how specific these locations were and also how hard they were to get to. Off the bat, this case sounds like any of our other cases. Sure, a group of women unfortunately were killed and went missing because they lived in unfortunate situations and were vulnerable to psychopaths that were looking to kill innocent people. But once you look deeper into this case, you realize that while there very likely could have been a serial killer who killed these 8 women, it's also very highly suspected that there was some police involvement. And the theories on the involvement of this police varies drastically. Some people believe
I was going to say earlier, I feel like it might be a police officer. I didn't say it, but I swear to God, I was thinking it.
that the local authorities not only executed the planning, killing, and hiding of these women's bodies, while others suspect that the local police were simply complicit in the situation and didn't put much effort into
I swear I was
investigating the
thinking that,
situation
bro.
simply because of who the victims were. Now, whether you believe that the Jeff Davis 8 killer was a single serial killer or potentially a group of people involved in law enforcement, the same conclusion can be drawn. Nobody has ever been charged for the murders of these 8 women. And unfortunately,
Well, if it's a
it
cop,
doesn't
they're
look
probably
like
not gonna.
anybody ever will. Which means that the lunatic or lunatics who killed these 8 women are definitely on the loose and walking among us today. To me, this is another case that just rings so odd because
Chat random question. Thoughts on cops? Let's get it going. What are we thinking? Love them, hate them? Here's my take. It's both, honestly. Because sometimes, obviously, there's dickhead cops, but then there's really chill fucking cops. So, like, I don't know. It's literally both. It just depends how they act towards me or whatever. They're pretty funny sometimes. True, bro. Yeah. Some of them are actually really cool.
there was literally 8 murders that took place over 4 years in
I just know people
super
really
modern
hate
history.
cops,
Like,
so I was
we're
trying to
talking
see if,
2005
like,
to 2009.
the chat would be like,
technology
hate
wasn't
cops,
where
love
it is
cops,
now,
hate
but it was
cops, love
definitely
cops.
advanced enough to have some progress on this. So the fact that 8 murders can take place in 4 years,
One
in
bought
the
you a
exact
corn
same
dog?
place,
Bro,
and
W, what the
nothing ever comes
fuck?
of it is extremely suspicious.
That's
which is why,
awesome.
for that reason, I don't think that looking more closely at law
Also, corn
enforcement
dogs
is a
kinda
bad
slap,
idea.
bro.
And
I
if
haven't
you
had
watch
one of
some
those
these
in a long
documentaries
time,
or
but
read some of
yeah,
the books
those are
about
really
the
good.
situation, then you'll definitely get a deeper perspective on the potential law enforcement involvement. The West Mesa Bone Collector. The year is 2009. You are an active outdoorsman, and this time you decide that something that could be fun to try is testing your survival skills in the middle of the desert. And that's when you decide to try living
Why the
off
hell
the land in Albuquerque,
anyone
West
do
Mesa.
this?
You spend your first day on the trip hiking and getting familiar with the landscape until, while hiking through a mesa, you see something sticking out of the ground. It doesn't look like a flower or cactus, and as you get closer, you realize that this is a bone, but it doesn't look like any animal bone you've ever seen. And you realize that what you're looking at is a
Bro said it looks like a flower or a cactus. It's a fucking whole ass bone.
human
What?
bone. Immediately, you
How does that
call
look
the
like a
authorities, and
cactus?
within hours, the police have not only dug up one body, they've actually dug up the remains of 11 women and girls. The
Holy
West Mesa
shit.
Bone Collector is, first of all, just an insane name to give a serial killer, and second of all, one of
Yeah,
the most
it
infamous unsolved
goes hard,
cases
though, I
in
can't
modern
lie.
history. It's unnerving how
West
recent
Mesa
some of these
Bone
cases
Collector?
are and how little information is actually available. In the case of the West Mesa Bone Collector, the bodies were discovered in 2009. However, it's
fire.
believed that the murders took place from 2001 until 2005. Following the unfortunate trend already evident in this video, all of the victims of the West Mesa Bone Collector were women. But not only were they women, some of these women were sex workers, and some of them were just struggling with homelessness and addiction. But definitely most saddening of all is some of these women weren't even women at all. Out of all of these 11 victims, technically 12, one was a 15-year-old girl and one was an unborn child. Because all of the bodies were skeletal remains by the time they were finally found, authorities were not able to determine a definitive cause of death, although they did say that trauma on the body was evident. And while the murder methods of the Mesa killer are unfortunately unknown, the one consistent variable in the situation is the method of hiding the bodies. Every single one of these 11 bodies was hidden in the exact same location, with the bodies being wrapped and then placed underground in an active effort to make sure these bodies were never found. And while the bodies were eventually found, the killer never was. At least not yet. And once again, this is another upsetting situation of potential mismanagement from the authorities. Because seriously, how do at least 11 women go missing in 4 years without anybody saying anything? And then when all of
Yeah,
these
that's
women
it.
are found in the exact same location,
That's a good
even
fucking
then,
point.
nothing is then known or discovered for the next 20 years. It's so disheartening.
shit.
And I didn't mean for this video to be a bummer. It was kind of supposed to be scary, but I guess with this sort of situation, it, well, comes with the territory. But regardless, with these murders taking place only from 2001 to 2005, it is extremely likely that the killer who executed these murders is still alive today and walking among us. The Rainbow Killer. The Rainbow
Wait.
Killer is still alive today and walking among us. The Rainbow Killer. The Rainbow
funny.
Killer is the first killer we're discussing that is not from the United States. Although the serial killer does still have a stereotypical insane serial killer nickname. And the Rainbow Killer got his nickname because he was targeting and assassinating gay men in Brazil. Whoever is giving these serial killers names seriously needs to chill. But back on a serious note, the murders executed by the Rainbow Killer took place between 2007 and 2008. And during this time, it's believed that the Rainbow Killer killed at least 13 gay men, all between the ages of 20 and 40. and all of them being shot in the head. Like some of the other cases in this video, it was suspected that the alleged serial killer could actually be a member of law enforcement. However, in this situation, this was something that other authorities took seriously. And in 2008, the same year that the murders were actually ongoing, the Sao Paulo Public Safety Department actually made a public statement announcing that the killer might actually be a police officer, which I think is a very bold and respectable claim for the government to say. Like, if one of their own is doing this, it's important that they be able to speak up about that. Interestingly, later that same year, in December of 2008, a Brazilian
That's a
police
whole new
officer
level
was
of
actually
homophobia.
arrested
Yeah, real
because
shit
an
though.
alleged eyewitness stated that he saw this police officer kill a gay man by shooting him 12 times. And on top of this, another eyewitness reported to authorities that they saw the same police officer often hanging out in the same park where all of these gay men were being harassed and killed. Now, with two very strong eyewitness claims,
gotta be him, right?
obviously there was a case against this police officer, and for the first time in this video, it seems like there may be justice served. However, that was not the case, because in 2011, 3 years later, the police officer that was alleged of killing this gay man and potentially being the Rainbow Killer was released after his trial because it was declared that he was not guilty by the jury. And whether you believe that it was actually this police officer or someone else entirely, the end result is the same. The Rainbow Killer, responsible for killing over 13 gay men, is still on the loose to this day. The vending machine murders. The year is 1985.
Ain't no way someone's killing over a fucking vending machine, bro. No way.
You told yourself that on this trip, you're gonna live like the locals. And it was at this point that you decided to get involved into vending machine culture. Luckily, vending machines are something that are not hard to find in Japan, and you quickly on your walk are able to find one on the side of the road. You walk up to this vending machine fully intending to buy a drink when you realize that there was actually a perfectly good sealed drink sitting on the top of a vending machine.
Oh,
Knowing
fuck that.
Japanese culture is so wholesome and giving, you realize that somebody must have bought this just to give away for
No,
free.
no, no,
You
no,
decide
no.
to receive the gift. This drink was an orange-flavored energy drink, and that was something that you were honestly kind of craving at that time. After drinking the
Chat,
drink
never
and
do
going
that
on with your
shit.
day, you realize that you don't really feel too good. You go home feeling sick, trying to sleep it off, but when you get into your bed to take a nap, you never woke up. The story I just told is based off of the reality of 13 people in Japan. From April to
Out of
November
13
in
people?
1985,
What?
13 people were murdered and 35 people got seriously sick because they drank poisoned drinks left on the top of vending machines. Now,
Chat. This is gonna be a little fucked, but like stupidity. You know what I mean? Like, can you really feel bad? I mean, yeah, obviously this sucks they died and everything, but like, why are you drinking fucking drinks that aren't in the vending machine? Who does that?
if you're asking yourself, who's just drinking drinks left on the top of vending machines? Well, a lot of people actually, and that's because this drink at the time was having low sales. And because these drinks were having low sales, they were offering buy one, get one free promotions in certain vending machines. So it wasn't necessarily uncommon to find the extra bottle left on top as a gift on top of the vending machine. And because people knew that this promotion was going on,
still wouldn't
and
do
they had
it.
seen in other places this
Still
drink
wouldn't
was
do
left
it.
on top, it wasn't unheard of to take this drink or potentially even leave this drink for someone else. But unfortunately, this fun gesture of paying it forward was severely abused by one or potentially multiple twisted individuals when they decided to leave laced drinks with paraquat on top of vending machines.
hell
Paraquat
is
was a very
paraquat?
popular herbicide, and while it was a popular herbicide, it also wasn't a stranger to deaths, as in the previous year of 1984, over 1,300 people took their own life by ingesting this toxic substance. The ways in which these
What the
victims died
fuck?
varied pretty significantly, with some victims dying within hours of drinking the poisoned beverage, with others dying after 6 weeks of excruciating pain. The Japanese police never received or discovered any leads associated with this string of murders. However, they believed that this string of poisonings was all executed by a single person.
It's like
There was
taking a
never
selfie
any
with a
video
bear,
evidence
real
of this
shit, though.
individual, and there was no physical evidence. And the only true
I
response
wouldn't do it
to this
because it's
entire
gotta be cold.
situation
Yeah,
was
that too,
nationwide
yeah.
prevention
Not
campaigns
drinking a
to
warm
further
drink,
prevent
hell no.
poisonings with other products in Japan. However, those didn't stop future poisonings, because in 1998 and even in 2019, there was other reported cases of
2019?
intentional poisonings via a beverage, with some of those also using the same toxic agent, paraquat. This situation is just super disturbing, but in a different way to the other murders, because there was no in-person violence, there was no motive, there was no specific target, there was no trend. He didn't know or care if he was poisoning women, children, elderly people, pregnant women. They just wanted to kill people, and unfortunately,
the
they did
Minecraft sounds
exactly
is
that and got away
crazy.
with it. Considering these murders took place in 1985, there is
Jeez.
a chance that whoever executed these murders could be dead by now, potentially by natural causes or other. However, I would say that it's also likely that whoever did this is still roaming the streets of Japan today, and unfortunately, still a free individual. Just to give you some context
That's
about how
insane.
little information there really is in all of these unsolved cases, the numbers that I gave you about how many people were sick and died only came out in 2012, meaning that from 1985 until 2011, not much was known about how many people died during this stint
back,
of
heard it.
poisonings or how many people were injured at all. And it's for this reason that a lot of the serial killers that are still on the loose are from at least over a decade ago, because it takes so much time to gather small scraps of information that are available and connect the dots. But the reality is, with these situations, these people are on the loose because information was not available or was simply not put to good use. The Danilovsky Maniac. Maintaining our now international theme, we next have a serial killer from Russia. The Danilovsky Maniac is a serial killer who committed at least 7 murders between 2004 and 2007 in Shapovitz, Russia. This killer is known as the Danilovsky Maniac because 3 of the murders he committed took place in an abandoned construction site on
Dude's gotta
Danilovsky
stop
Street.
using the
Like
Minecraft
every
noise.
other depraved individual on this list, this killer targeted women. He would assault them, kill them, and then hide their bodies in construction sites across his city. And multiple of his victims were girls under the age of 18. The Danilovsky Maniac is believed to be active as early as 1999 and as late as 2010. And with nearly 11 years of crime, 7 confirmed killings, and 14 possible killings, there was quite a bit of information being processed by the police. However, nobody was ever caught. But this wasn't due to a lack of effort. In 2008 alone, over 200 people were interviewed to see if they knew anything or potentially were the murderer, and the police were even offering up to 500,000 rubles for any information. However, this reward has still gone unclaimed. One disturbing trait that was common for the Danilovsky Maniac was that he would leave crude drawings at the scene of each murder to essentially taunt police. These drawings were graphic in nature and extremely upsetting considering the context. As of 2024, authorities have not publicly named any suspects in this case, and all of the cases associated with the serial killer are unfortunately unsolved. The only information that the authorities are able to give publicly is that they believe that the serial killer is likely alive and potentially between the ages of 58 and 73, and may have bald spots in their hair. And if that description sounds extremely vague to you, well, that's because it is. I feel like at least 40% of Russia's population fits that description, so it's not very helpful.
Yeah,
Although,
you're never finding
even this
them.
minuscule amount of information is better than the no information available in some of the other cases we've discussed on this list. It's no secret that we've discussed some seriously sick and twisted individuals so far on this list. However, we're not done yet, because like I mentioned, we're going to end the video with serial killers that are on the loose and active to this very day, with confirmed kills within the last few years,
active
or
is
potentially
nuts.
even more recently. And if you thought there was limited information about these serial killers we've discussed so far, well, buckle up, because all of the active serial killers we're about to discuss have almost nothing known about them, and that's, like I mentioned, part of the nature. One thing that I've learned from making serial killer videos and kind of researching serial killers in general is that serial killers are more or less of a retrospective game. It typically takes many years after the fact for authorities to be able to piece things together and put together a proper timeline of exactly what happened and connect all of the dots that tie a single killer to all of the different victims. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that there's nothing for us to discuss. There's just not many examples, and they're relatively vague, which is why I'm going to do a bit of a speed run, and the speed run is about to get crazy. But not as crazy as how many of you aren't actually subscribed. So if you do enjoy these videos and like my cute pumpkin outfit, then consider being a bro and subscribing. We're getting so close to 1 million subscribers. But okay, let's go
I'll be
through the
honest,
speed round
bro
of
kind of deserves
serial
it.
killers that are active
This video
right now.
fire.
We're starting in Mexico, and it's not necessarily one individual, it's actually a place. And this place is known as the Highway of Death. It's basically a 136-mile stretch of a federal highway that since 2022 has seen the death of at least 71 individuals who have been provably murdered. Beyond the 71 proven murders on this highway, there's believed to be over 200 potential murders that have taken place on this highway since 2020, and the number is still only going up.
Bro, since 2020? 200 murders?
Beyond these 71 proven murders on this highway, there's believed to be over 200 potential murders that have taken place on this highway since 2020, and the number is still only going up. It's not necessarily believed that only one serial killer is responsible for all these murders, and authorities believe that this is most likely the work of cartels, but they have explicitly said that they are not writing off lone criminals to also be responsible for some of the murders that have taken place on this highway, meaning that if anything, this stretch of highway is not home to just one serial killer, but multiple. 18 different individuals who were attacked on the highway and survived all claimed that they were abducted by armed men and tortured before being released or escaping. And while no motivation is given beyond that, it further adds to the theory that cartel intervention is happening. Although, if the cartels are doing this, begs the question of what is their motivation? Just because somebody's a member of the cartel, that doesn't mean that they're not a rogue serial killer on their off time. Another ongoing situation that's taking place not in Mexico, but in Canada is known as the Highway of Tears. On the now infamous Highway 16 in Canada, from 1970 up until the modern day, like right now, over 80 women and girls, primarily indigenous women and girls, have been murdered or have gone missing while walking on the side of this highway. With this string of murders ongoing now for over 50 years, it is believed that murdering innocent people on this highway has become more or less of a multi-generational tradition among seriously twisted individuals. And it's believed that not one, but many individuals have killed innocent women on this highway for a plethora of disturbing reasons. Going right back down to Mexico, we're discussing the toy car murderers. This is once again not necessarily one killer, but a group of killers who live in Sinaloa. These murders took place from 2019 to 2023 and still may be ongoing to this day. They have 5 proven victims and 6 possible victims. And this killer or group of killers are known as the toy car killers because they are specifically targeting car thieves. Yeah, like this is some Dexter stuff. These individuals are identifying car thieves, shooting them in the head, leaving them for dead, and leaving toy cars on their body as a calling card. Authorities believe that this is some form of vigilante justice, and the actions are being taken out by either one person or a group of organized people, all with the same hatred of car thieves. Having a serial killing calling card in 2023 is some seriously diabolical stuff. And don't get me wrong, stealing somebody's car is really messed up. But if you're going to create an organized crime murder vigilante justice group, I feel like there are probably other crimes you could go after rather than car thieves. But that's just my 2 cents. Not advocating for vigilante justice or murder, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like there's probably other things you could be more motivated by, but what do I know? Heading over to the States, we have the Little Rock serial stabbings. From 2020 to 2021, there were 3 confirmed fatal stabbings in Little Rock, Arkansas. All 3 of these stabbings were believed to be committed by the same person, and unfortunately, there is absolutely no information about who was stabbing these people and why they were stabbing these people. Authorities are actively investigating the situation, and hopefully justice and answers are brought forward soon. Jumping over to Pakistan, we have the Jankil grave. In 2020, a grave containing the bodies of 4 teenage boys was found. One of these boys was decapitated, one of them was shot, and 2 of them were stoned to death. The only connection between all of these bodies were the fact that they were buried in the same place. But beyond that, nobody knows who killed these boys, why they killed them, or when this even happened. The situation has been going since 2020, and minimal updates have been provided since then. There has been numerous protests in Pakistan demanding justice for these young boys, but unfortunately, answers or justice have not been given yet. And this killer, along with all others, are still at large. Heading over to Mali, of all places, we have the Fana beheadings.
Oh, there's so many places, man. There's serial killers legitimately everywhere. Holy fuck. I mean, I kind of knew that, but
in a
shit.
ritualistic decapitation.
Scary stuff.
It was confirmed that none of these victims had anything in common, and their heads were eventually found separately, but all of these bodies had their blood drained, which is why it was believed these bodies were used for ritualistic purposes. Since these murders, investigations have been ongoing and updates have been minimal. However, these murders did shock the region of Africa, and the UN has actively inserted themselves in the situation to try to, quote, continue to make sustained efforts to protect civilians. And for the final entry on this entire list, we have a man named Vampire, a Kenyan serial killer who was active from 2022 to 2024, and in that time killed a confirmed...
Let me guess what this guy did, huh? Let me take a big old gander here.
42 women. Vampire is a 33-year-old Kenyan man in Nairobi, and after his 42-woman killing spree from 2022 to 2024, he actually was arrested, but shortly after being arrested, escaped custody and has not been heard from or seen since. It is believed by some in Kenya that the police actively aided in the escape of this serial killer, which is extremely disheartening if true. As we conclude this video, I do just want to make a quick reminder that everything I discussed in this video is real. These are real victims with real families and real friends and real lives destroyed and ruined and taken. I try my absolute best to make these videos informative and respectful. Besides that, I want to say thank you guys for enjoying, and I hope you have a safe and fun Halloween if you are watching this on Halloween. Surprisingly, this is my first Halloween special ever, and I definitely want to do more. So I'm going to start thinking about next year's costume right now. But in the meantime, if you want a palette cleanse, I recommend checking out the video on screen.
Chat, W video, that shit was lit. I'm gonna pee quick. We got one more. I'll be right back first. Ciao, we back. Give me 1 second. Okay. Respectful, literally putting the Minecraft death sound after every death. Yeah. Yeah, true though. I can't lie. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it's fucked, but that's kind of funny. Okay, this one is teacher realizes cops discovered her disgusting secret. A body cam video. I fuck with these. I don't know why, but I like them.
He's just a hair young. And, well, you're being an educator, not supposed to do that, but it's really the age.
Isn't he 15?
Oh,
I mean, that's a middle school. What kind of sicko?
I'm not gonna lie. This video might piss me off. I do not fuck with pedos, bro. Hold up. Let's let's change the video quick if I can find something interesting. Nah, fuck it. Whatever.
Disturbing messages between a Texas teacher and a middle school student surface online. Detectives step in to investigate, but her sickening admissions are far worse than they could have ever imagined.
I just saw your hair in the cookie jar.
The following is based on official police records, and the footage has never been seen before until now. On July 19, 2023, the Nacogdoches Police Department receives a call from district officers at McMichael Middle School.
Hey, we've got a situation where a teacher has been, I guess, having an inappropriate relationship with a student outside of school, and it just came to our attention. Another kid here at the school showed the principal over here some Snapchats that were corresponding between the child and the teacher, but we believe everything's been
I can't
happening.
lie. I don't know if I
during
can
the-
watch this, bro. This shit actually makes my blood boil. I'm gonna be honest. I can't be able to. That shit actually pisses me off. Okay, hold up. Let's use a different one. What do we got? I watch a lot of this dude's videos, so nude prowler picked the wrong neighborhood. That sounds quite interesting. Okay, let's try this one.
Mother.
This type of stream is cool. You ought to do this more. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. I was gonna ask, do you fuck with this? I don't know. It's different. I didn't feel like gaming today, so I wanted to stream, so I was like, let's just like react, I guess. Do something different.
He's a single parent.
Yep.
Babysits kids in her home.
Gotcha.
So that's scary.
But yeah, we'll definitely
Don't
do
let
it
him
more
eat
for
unless
sure.
he does his chores. He hasn't eaten since last night.
You say when she does this, it's with electrical cord. I got you.
Yeah, all types of stuff. What if he goes back to his mom and she beats him again?
On the afternoon of July 27, 2024, Beaver Creek Police in Ohio respond to a quiet neighborhood after a woman reports encountering a young boy covered in lash marks and begging for help. What begins as a standard welfare check soon
Jesus
reveals
Christ,
a level
man.
of abuse far more disturbing than anyone could have imagined.
These videos are hard to watch, I won't lie.
It looks like you beat him. Okay.
The following is based on official police records, and some of the footage has never been seen before until now. When officers arrive, paramedics are already speaking with the 12-year-old boy, assessing his injuries as the woman who called 911, Lisa Shawn, stands close by, waiting to tell them what she saw.
Can you explain what happened? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I live in this neighborhood and I was
Yes,
out for a walk and took him riding up to me super fast and he stopped and he was crying and he's like, can you help me? My mom abuses me. I need help. She's going to come after me.
Okay.
And I looked at his back and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, come with me.
Yeah.
So he kind of hide me. Called the police.
Yeah.
He's been talking to me. I've been asking questions. I used to be a probation officer for
No worries.
court, so
Yep. I understand. It's been a process.
Officers now turn their attention to the boy, who is visibly shaken, but nothing can prepare them for the details he's about to share.
What's going on?
yeah,
How long has this been going on?
6 years almost.
Okay.
Jeez, dude.
It was like 6.
Um,
Yeah, really young.
Okay. I got you.
I mean,
You're okay. That hey, so I want you to know we're here to help. What we're going to try and do is try to figure out what's going on. Okay. All right.
Clearly visible on the boy's back are numerous long welts that stretch across his back, arms, and neck, some fresh, others in various stages of healing, indicating that the abuse has been happening for quite some time.
From what they've told me, it sounds like, is it your mom?
yeah,
Gotcha. What was her name?
Stephanie Miller.
Stephanie Miller. Gotcha. It sounds as though she has hurt you a couple times with extension cords and other things, and that's what caused these marks on your arm and your back. Is that correct? Okay, so really quick, I want to let you know, you aren't going to have to deal with her for the rest of the day, okay? We're going to figure out what we can do for you from there, but you don't have to deal with her for the rest of the day, okay? Really quick, is there a family member in the area that we can get you to that you feel safe with? It's okay. I know this is a lot, so take your time, okay? It's okay. Nope, she's not gonna come at all. She's not gonna come near you for the time being.
Wait,
okay?
so is it his mom doing
Officers
this to
began
him?
reaching out to child services
they say?
to ensure the boy's safety and find a suitable guardian. In the meantime, they continue speaking with Lisa, who shares even more unsettling details the boy told her.
His mother is a single parent.
Yep.
It is his mom?
Babysits
Jeez.
kids in her home.
Gotcha.
So that's scary.
Yep.
Won't let him eat unless he does his chores. He hasn't eaten since last night. She's been abusing him for years. She smokes weed and other drinks in the house. She acts crazy. He's pretty open. He plays football. He's finally.
Chat, I do both those things and I'm not like this. What the fuck? What?
You're good.
He had to wear long sleeve shirts to football practice.
Yeah.
He's like,
I get it.
The boy is helped into
What's
the
wrong with
ambulance,
people, bro?
where
I don't-
paramedics begin checking his vitals as an officer stays close by, attempting to comfort him.
What's the blood pressure looking like?
And I don't do that stuff every day,
Blood
obviously.
pressure is
But
when your heart pumps and then relaxes, there's pressure, and that's what it monitors, and that tops the heart rate. Does that make sense?
And you're a little stressed right now, so it's probably a little bit higher than we'd expect for a kid your age. But that's okay.
Yep. The reason we look at that kind of stuff is it gives us an idea of what's going on inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, really quick, doing great. I am going to ask if I can get some of those photos really quick. Thank you very much, sir. And so you say when she does this, it's with electrical cord?
Jesus, bro. Electrical cords?
Yeah.
TV mounts? Brooms? Jesus.
I got you.
Utensils and metal utensils and stuff like that.
When I was speaking with the lady who called us, she was saying that you hadn't eaten in a while as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I haven't eaten since last night. Yeah.
Since last night?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And is that common that your mom won't let you eat for extended periods of time?
No, it's after I finish my chores, I have like morning chores, and then I have like 12 o'clock middle of the day chores, and then nighttime chores.
Okay.
I do normally do my chores like letting the dogs out and taking the trash in the morning. But sometimes I have extra chores and I can't eat until I finish those chores. And I just started my chores, so I haven't ate yet since yesterday.
Okay.
Officers hand the young boy
Damn,
a
dude,
map on their
that's
phone, and he's
fucked.
able to point out where he lives. The 12-year-old is transported to Dayton Children's Hospital, while officers return to Lisa, whose concern for him remains unwavering.
Can I check in and see how he's doing later? A couple days or?
You can call us, but we aren't going to probably have an answer for you.
Okay.
So one of two things is going to happen. One, we're going to be able to make contact with an aunt who he feels comfortable with,
Okay.
and have her come pick him up from Children's.
Okay, good.
Or Children's Services is going to get involved.
I hope so.
Regardless, Children's Services is
Yeah.
getting involved,
Good.
but we are hopefully going to get a family member and not Children's Services.
What if he goes back to his mom and she beats him again? I know children's services is
So
gonna
that's
monitor
she's
it.
not going to now, at least today.
Okay.
We're going to go make contact with her and
Attempt to arrest her.
yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Following the directions the boy provided, officers drive to the address to make contact with his mother. When they arrive, they find 36-year-old Stephanie Miller in her driveway.
Hi, are you Mrs. Stephanie Miller by chance? Hi, we just spoke with...
Yeah, he got in trouble.
Okay. Good.
Where's he at? What's going on?
So he was a couple streets over.
She
He
doesn't
was requesting...
she doesn't even know where her kid's at. That's how much she just doesn't care. Jesus, bro. If you're like this, don't have children. Don't have fucking kids. Jesus. What the fuck?
that someone call the cops because of
Just
some
no
injuries
care.
he's sustained.
He got a whooping.
I
Oh,
got
yeah,
you.
no shit.
So by all means, you can do the parenting that you see fit.
Okay.
The hard part is he has open gashes on his back and scars from where you've lashed him.
Yeah,
And
that's.
so you are going to be currently under arrest. Okay. Go ahead and drop what's in your hands. Put your hands behind your back for me, please. Yes, ma'am. I am serious. Yes, ma'am.
Just for a whooping, bro.
Go ahead and
He.
drop what's in your hands, please.
Can I,
Are we
Can I put
serious?
that in my car?
Yeah, we can put all this back in your car. Yeah.
Do I need my ID or anything?
I will grab your ID really quick if that's okay with you. Is there anything else that needs to go? Is there a reason you have a steak knife in your purse?
It's for protection. I go hiking and stuff.
Okay,
It's a
that's
little
fine.
scary.
Would you like this stuff
A
in your car?
steak knife instead of a pocket knife?
Do you want your keys with you or your wallet?
I'm under arrest.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
The steak knife is a notable find, especially considering the boy claimed his mother sometimes used utensils to punish him. Officers placed Stephanie in the back of the patrol vehicle, and after returning her son's bike to the
She
property,
cutting him
they
and
begin
shit?
questioning her about what happened, and what she says next leaves them stunned.
All right, ma'am. So what exactly happened?
I'm sorry. I did go too far. He hid the belt. I
No
usually
shit.
wouldn't whip him with a belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never whipped him this bad. So
Okay.
I probably did go a little too far with disciplining him, but I didn't realize he had any like you said, he had open wounds or something. I didn't realize he had that. He got in trouble.
Bullshit, bro. Oh god, this video is pissing me off, chat. It's making me mad, man. How do you not fucking realize something like that? That's, oh my god.
Okay, what did he do to get in trouble?
He wasn't doing his chores and he was playing this game instead of doing his
Okay, I got you.
I'm sorry.
Now, there was some previous scarring on him. What was that from?
He's an active kid. He climbs
Okay.
trees and we hike. And he was running.
I mean, it was whips all around his body, so don't lie to me, okay?
He got in trouble for like acting up. So
Okay, is this a repetitive thing?
he's been acting up since me and my ex broke up in
Mhm.
February.
Now, I will say sometimes discipline doesn't really work for some children. Other forms of discipline work, such as, talking to them in a nice manner. Some kids don't take well to physical discipline. So it's just about changing up and how you do that. You can't just, I'm going to be flat out. It looks like you beat him, okay?
Yeah,
And no child should go through that. No person should go through that, okay?
right.
But do you have any questions for us right now?
No, I guess I made a mistake. So I got to deal with
Things happen.
Stephanie Miller was taken to the Greene County Jail and later pleaded guilty to 1 felony count of child endangerment and 1 misdemeanor count of domestic violence. On May 22, 2025, Miller was sentenced to 6 months in the Greene County Jail,
That's
followed
it?
by 5 years of intensive probation and mandatory participation in a domestic violence intervention program. As for her son, he was released from the hospital and later placed in the care of relatives under court protection, with a no-contact order preventing Miller from seeing him. If you'd like to see select new videos early and help us keep uncovering case files that
Chat, let's do
rarely
one
come
more.
to light, you'll
Let's do one more. I like this. I can't lie. This is fun. That video was nuts. I like this guy. This Iwoo dude, his body cam vids are fucking lit. Or however you say that. Uwoo. Here, hold up. See if we can find something on it. Recommended. Oh, I didn't see this video, but I heard about this. This dude actually lives close to me too. I swear to God, not close to me, but he lives in the same county. Or did. I think he's in jail now. Well, I don't think. I know he's in jail now. That dude live streamed that. Yeah. Yeah, no, he uploaded it to YouTube. Yeah, he didn't live stream it. Yeah, that's nuts. Worst serial killer in every state? That could be interesting. Chat, this is the shit I like watching. Just, I don't know. Interesting stuff here. How FBI undercover agents actually work. Authorized account insider. Sounds interesting too. Chat, which one do we watch here? What are we thinking? We got the serial killer one. the FBI undercover one, or the moment he realizes police found his wife's body. Child, let's do this one. Let's do this one.
This is 50-year-old Matthew Moore. Police have just arrived at his home after he reported his wife, Emily Noble, missing.
I have a gut feeling right here. It's
Deep sea creature? Hold up, where's that at? Why deep sea creatures get creepier the deeper you go. This one? Mr. Science, we could watch this. I'm down. Holy shit, what the? Oh, it's the camera moving, I think.
Beneath the surface of our oceans lies
Imagine
a
it was
world
moving
we
that
were
quick.
never meant to see.
Ew,
A
bro.
realm where light dies and life takes on forms that
Yeah.
shouldn't be possible. As we descend deeper, crossing the sunlight zone, then the twilight zone, then the midnight zone, the creatures we encounter turn progressively stranger.
Ew, bro, what the fuck?
Stranger.
Oh. You can see his eyeballs. Or his I don't know what this is. It looks like it connects to his eyes. But, like, this is where... what the hell is happening here? I'm so confused. What is that?
We've sent rovers to Mars.
What the
We've
hell is
mapped
that?
Distant galaxies. But the deep sea? We've explored less than 5% of it. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about what's happening 6,000 feet below our own oceans.
I can't lie, I don't fuck with the ocean. I don't. I'm very scared of it. I like the beach and everything, but I never go in the water. Ever. I like
At
the vibes,
surface,
but...
the ocean is bright and full of life. Sunlight fuels plankton blooms, which feed fish, which feed entire food chains stretching from coral reefs to whales. But drop below 200 meters, and that light begins to fade. We are now entering the twilight zone, a vast belt of ocean stretching down to 1 kilometer deep. Here, the sun's rays are too weak for photosynthesis. The forests of plankton vanish. There
Plankton?
are no plants, no green energy. Only the slow snowfall of particles drifting from above. Tiny fragments of plankton, waste, and the remains of the dead. Scientists call it marine snow. To us, it looks insignificant. To the creatures here, it is life itself. And where there is food, there is life. But not life as we know it. The animals of the Twilight Zone have evolved into some of the strangest forms on Earth. Many are transparent, their bodies like glass. The glass squid drifts with organs barely visible, a ghost against the forms on Earth. Many are transparent, their bodies like glass. The glass squid
What the fuck?
drifts with organs barely visible, a ghost
I
against
hate
the
that.
blue. The glass octopus is almost invisible, its eyes the only solid feature. Why so many species take on transparency here is still a mystery. It may be camouflage, a way to vanish in the faintest light. Or
That's kinda
perhaps
sick.
a way to conserve energy in a world where every
That's
pigment
kinda sick too,
costs
and
more
that.
than it gives back. Others choose the opposite strategy, not invisibility, but light. In the gloom, some creatures create their own glow through a chemical reaction known as bioluminescence.
Looks like a bubble.
To us, it's dazzling. Flashing dots, glowing patterns, entire bodies flickering like lanterns.
Bro, that's kind of nuts. It looks like an alien.
But here, light is survival. Some use it to lure prey, some to find a mate, and some to disappear. This trick is called counter-illumination.
Oh, what?
From below, predators can spot a dark silhouette against the faint shimmer above. To hide, animals like the firefly squid cover their bellies with light-producing organs. They adjust the brightness to perfectly match the glow from the surface, erasing their outline and vanishing into the background. It is camouflage by imitation, making
kinda
light
sick.
to disappear into light. Other
Bro, it's
species
so
play
crazy how you can
stranger
see through them.
The
Or
bloody
some of
belly
them.
comb jelly shines in deep red. Down here, red light never penetrates, making the jelly appear completely black. Inside its stomach, bioluminescent prey is concealed, hidden from predators that might otherwise detect its glow. In a world defined by light, or the lack of it, every adaptation revolves around who can be seen and who cannot. But the Twilight Zone holds more than tricks of light. It also hosts some of the ocean's greatest spectacles. Each night, as darkness falls above, billions of creatures rise from the depths. Lanternfish, squid, jellies, an entire army of the deep, climbing towards the surface to feed on plankton under cover of night. At dawn, they sink back down, vanishing into the gloom. This vast daily movement is called the diel vertical migration. It is the largest synchronized migration on Earth, greater in numbers than all herds, all flocks, all swarms combined. And yet, despite its scale, this event remained hidden until World War II. Naval sonar operators detected a mysterious false seabed, a dense layer that rose every night and sank every morning. It wasn't the ocean floor at all. It was life, an entire invisible world moving as one. The Twilight Zone is where the familiar rules of life begin to bend, where transparency is armor, where light is used to hide.
Nah, that's
where
hard.
Billions of animals rise and fall
That's
in
sick.
a rhythm older than humanity itself. This is the threshold of the deep, the first layer of a world we still cannot explain.
Did homie just shit and
Past
leave?
1 kilometer, all sunlight disappears. We have reached the Midnight Zone, a realm stretching down to 4,000 meters. Here, there is no dawn, no dusk, only endless night. Temperatures hover just above freezing. The pressure is hundreds of times greater than at the surface. To human eyes, this seems like a world where nothing could survive. And yet, it is here that evolution becomes most creative. Take the dragonfish. Unlike most creatures, it can produce red bioluminescence. To most eyes in the deep sea, red light is invisible, which makes the dragonfish's glow a private searchlight. It illuminates
That thing looks
prey without
menacing.
giving itself away.
It's like a damn torpedo.
Even more mysterious,
Look at
its
that thing.
eyes are specially adapted to detect this hidden color. It's
Jesus.
as though the dragonfish has invented a secret wavelength seen only by itself. Other predators here are masters of disappearance.
Thing kinda looks like a
Some fish
venom.
are cloaked in ultra-black skin, so efficient at absorbing light that
It's
it
fucking
reflects
creepy
less than
or scary.
0.5%
Facts.
of what touches it. Even when a spotlight from a submarine beams directly on them, they almost vanish. And then there are the anglerfish. Perhaps the strangest hunters in the deep.
Jeez, dude.
The female
I'ma
dangles
see
a
that in my
luminous lure in
dreams.
front of her mouth, drawing in unsuspecting prey. But her greatest mystery lies in reproduction.
Yeah, I agree.
Males are born
100%.
tiny, weak, and helpless. Their only task is to find a female, a nearly impossible feat in the vast dark ocean. When he does, he latches onto her with special jaws, fusing his body into hers. His organs wither away until he is little more than a sack of sperm, permanently attached, nourished by her blood.
What?
It is one of the most extreme forms of sexual adaptation known in the animal kingdom. Not every animal here is a hunter. Some are opportunists, scavengers waiting for the fall of food from above.
Simp.
A single whale carcass sinking to this depth becomes an oasis, feeding entire communities for decades. And yet, even with submersibles, what we know of this zone is fragmentary. For
Bro, what
every
the fuck
species
is that?
documented, scientists believe dozens remain unknown. Each dive into the Midnight Zone uncovers creatures never before seen by science. Animals with glowing eyes,
Bro.
needle-like teeth, or bodies so fragile they disintegrate when brought to the surface. This is the Midnight Zone, a world where light is weapon, where invisibility is survival, where even reproduction follows rules beyond our imagination. 4 kilometers down, we leave the open waters and touch the bottom of the abyss. This is the Abyssal Plain, one of the largest habitats on Earth, covering more than half of the planet's surface. And yet, it is also one of the least understood. Here, there are no landmarks, no coral reefs, no kelp forests, no towering mountains. Only a vast desert of mud stretching for thousands of kilometers in every direction. Temperatures never rise above 4 degrees Celsius.
Absolute nightmare
Food
down
is
there.
scarce. Survival here demands strategies unlike anywhere else on Earth. One adaptation is size. Many animals of the abyss are giants compared to their shallow water relatives. Giant isopods, the size of puppies, scuttle across the sediment. Amphipods, normally tiny, can grow longer than a human hand. Even the colossal squid, among the largest invertebrates alive, is thought to prowl these depths. Scientists call this phenomenon deep-sea gigantism, but why it occurs remains an open mystery.
Gigantism.
Some suggest it
It's a
conserves
new word
energy.
unlocked.
Others think it provides better defense against scarce predators. The truth is, we still don't know. Another oasis of life arrives when giants from above fall. A dead whale sinking to the abyssal plain becomes a rare jackpot.
You love the giant
Within
isopods?
hours,
Yeah, they're chill.
scavengers gather. Sharks, hagfish, amphipods. Soon after, stranger creatures move in. Bone-eating worms called osidax colonize the skeleton,
Bone-eating
feeding
worms?
on oils locked
Bro.
inside the bones.
Imagine you got a bone-eating worm in your body. You'd be screwed. Unless they got it out of you, obviously, but like that man's eating your bones. I don't think can you never mind, that's actually a stupid question. When you break bones, it does grow back, right? Pretty sure. Or somehow it like I don't know how it works. I don't know about that shit.
Ecosystems spring up on a single carcass, lasting decades until all that remains
But like
is
that would
dust.
suck.
Other animals here survive on less dramatic meals. The vampire squid, despite its terrifying name, is not a predator at all. It collects drifting particles of marine snow using long, sticky filaments. Even in the oxygen-starved depths, it thrives, using a blood pigment with the highest oxygen affinity of any known cephalopod. In this desert of silt and silence, life is slow. Creatures grow slowly, reproduce rarely,
Oh, I don't like that.
and live for centuries. The Greenland shark,
It's like a
which
giant-ass
can dwell in
spider.
these depths,
I hate
may
spiders.
live over 400 years, the longest lifespan of any vertebrate known. Time itself seems to move differently
Oh,
here.
I don't like that either.
And yet, even the abyss is not empty. Each grain of sediment hides countless microbes, recycling nutrients, sustaining a hidden food web that we are only beginning to map. The abyssal plains remind us of Earth's scale. They cover more territory than all forests, grasslands, and deserts combined, yet remain largely unseen, unexplored, and unexplained. Beyond the abyssal plain lies an even deeper frontier, the trenches. Carved by tectonic forces, these are the scars of the Earth, places where one plate of the planet's crust slides beneath another, pulling the ocean floor down into unfathomable depths. Here begins the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the underworld. It stretches from 6,000 meters all the way down to the deepest known point on Earth, nearly 11,000 meters below the surface.
Damn.
To put that in perspective, if Mount Everest were dropped into the Mariana Trench, its peak would still be more than a mile underwater. Conditions
that's-
here are almost beyond
That's
comprehension.
insane.
Temperatures remain near freezing. Pressures can exceed 1,000 times what we experience at the surface. To a human body, it would be instantly fatal. And yet, life not only survives here, it thrives. Among the most astonishing
look at that
features
fucking
are the
thing.
snailfish that inhabit the very bottom of trenches. Fragile, gelatinous, with thin, translucent skin, they look too delicate to exist in such a hostile world. Yet they are the deepest living vertebrates ever discovered, thriving where no other fish can. Their bodies lack rigid bones, and their cell structures are reinforced with unique molecules that keep proteins functioning under crushing pressure. Other inhabitants are smaller but no less extraordinary. Amphipods, shrimp-like crustaceans, swarm across the trench floor in huge numbers. Recent studies found plastic fibers inside their bodies, proof that even these most remote habitats are touched by human waste.
That's
It is
kinda
a
crazy.
sobering reminder that the deep is not as isolated as we once believed.
Yeah, that's kind of fucking nuts, actually. How's plastic going that deep?
At hydrothermal vents along trench walls, life takes an even stranger turn. Here, microbes feed not on sunlight or marine snow, but on chemicals spewing from the Earth's crust. Hydrogen sulfide, methane, even metals dissolved in superheated water. Entire communities of worms, clams, and crabs depend on these microscopic pioneers. It is a food web based on chemistry,
I'm
not
so happy.
photosynthesis, showing us that life can exist in conditions utterly alien to the surface. These discoveries fuel a larger question. If life can adapt to such extremes here on Earth, exist in
Definitely went back too
conditions
far.
utterly
Look at this
alien to the
crab.
surface. These discoveries fuel a larger question. If
Why is he hairy? I hate that. I don't like that.
life can adapt to such extremes here on Earth, could it not also exist on other worlds? Icy moons like Europa and Enceladus hide oceans beneath their frozen crusts, warmed not by sunlight, but by internal heat. To study the Hadal Zone is to glimpse the possibilities of extraterrestrial oceans. And yet, despite its importance, we know almost nothing about the trenches. Fewer people have visited the Mariana Trench than have stood on the surface of the moon.
You like that?
Each
Really?
dive brings back creatures unknown to science, from translucent sea cucumbers drifting like parachutes, to gelatinous blobs with no clear anatomy, to microbes whose metabolisms remain a mystery. For centuries, humans imagined the trenches as lifeless voids, silent graves beneath the sea. What we've found instead is resilience, life that bends, reshapes, and reinvents itself to endure the most extreme pressures imaginable. For all we have seen, the deep sea remains a world of questions. More than 80% of the ocean is still unexplored. Each dive into the depths, each ROV expedition
Fucking
brings back
insane.
creatures never before imagined. Transparent fish, glowing worms, jellies that break every rule of biology. It is a world where discovery is not rare, but constant. Even among the animals we know, so much remains unsolved. Why do so many
They look like
deep-sea
a
creatures
dunce.
grow to enormous sizes? The giant isopods, the colossal squid, the amphipods the length of a human hand. Why do others turn nearly invisible, or cloak themselves in ultra-black skin that absorbs almost all light? The greatest mystery of all? Maybe bioluminescence. Nearly
That shit's
three-quarters
sick.
of deep-sea life produces light.
That's
Yet
crazy.
the reasons vary wildly. Hunting, hiding, mating, or simply surviving. We still cannot explain how many of these species evolved such complex chemical systems, or why some can glow in colors that no other animal can see. There are deeper puzzles still. For now, these are mysteries without explanation. Perhaps that is what makes them so powerful. They remind us that Earth still holds secrets. Secrets worth protecting.
Get off the screen. I want to see the fucking shit.
Discovering.
God damn it. Damn it. W video. That was interesting. I liked that video. Definitely subbing to Mr. Science. All right, chat. I'm gonna end it here for the night. Just a short little stream, just because I didn't feel like gaming again. Just wanted to watch some quick shit. Probably gonna do this again though. I don't know. It was really fun. Moron, bro. If you see any videos or anything that you want me to react to, I don't know if you're in the Discord, but send them in the Discord if you want to. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna look myself for some more videos and stuff. I'll make a page in the Discord for stuff like this. Gotcha a bit. But yeah, W stream, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Moron, bro. Have a good rest of your night. I'll be live again tomorrow. And yeah. Probably gaming tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see though. But yeah, thank you for watching. Much appreciated. If anyone's new, please consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Y'all already know. And yeah. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your night.